There we go.
Discourse.
Folks,
Howdy.
we are live. Welcome to Dungeons, Dragons, and Discourse. It is your Arduin special event. I am Eric Tenkar. With me is Glen Hallstrom, Old Man Grognard, and below we have the gentleman behind Emperor's Choice, Dave and George. Gentlemen, welcome.
Howdy.
Thank you.
Eric, next time you're going to have to get with the program. This is the podcast. This is the live stream of Black Shirts.
Listen, I do own a black shirt, but I'm wearing my my Tenkar's Minions shirt.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
I wanted to show this is my North Texas.
Oh, you're North Texas?
Yay. Yes.
Nice.
I bought it. I put it in my suitcase. I took it home. Yesterday was the first time I put it on.
There you go.
I don't know. I totally forgot I had it. So it's like, hey, I'm lucky it fits.
Hey, it's a fresh shirt. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
Anyway, we got Arduin tonight, folks.
Howdy.
Again, thank you guys for having us. So,
Oh no, definitely. We
Thank you,
have a lot of fun with you guys.
Yeah. You guys, we leave the back door open. You can just walk in.
The keys under the mat. Just make sure after you use the bathroom, you just wipe the toilet down. That's all we ask. It's a very friendly establishment here.
yeah.
A little too friendly sometimes, I guess.
Well, could be. But gentlemen, I know that you guys are working on a lot of Arduin stuff, and at the moment, what's going to be coming out first is if you want to hint, folks, you can look behind our two guests and what's on their walls.
I could slip out of the way for a second.
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on a second. I'm going to blow this up real quick so you can see what's on Dave's wall. Okay,
Goodness.
These are beautiful, beautiful maps. And I do believe that many of our viewers are, I don't say map fetishers, but certainly map fanatics. So I think this is going to be a beautiful Kickstarter you guys have coming up. I really.
Yeah,
I can't imagine nobody not liking it,
Yeah, they're all physical, full size on parchment-like paper. I know we've talked about it previously. The last time we were on, I think about a month or so ago on that Friday, and you get if you look at our Kickstarter, 5 maps. We got 4 art prints and an Arduin map index, which the map Dave and it above his left shoulder, which is the Arduin map. You're talking hundreds upon hundreds. Yep. Hundreds, yep, of names. So you're looking at maps that are just inspiring, pop into a campaign, use as the center of your campaign. We even have the island map. I know it's one of your favorites, Glenn. So
Yes.
I think I got that one.
That's probably going to be the first one I put up in the room here.
I have that one on the wall over there.
Yeah, the one on your favorite, Glenn, from last time.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
The Corinth map. But
It's just
they're all, again, physical,
beautiful.
parchment paper.
Uh-huh.
It's all physical. You need an island. There you go. Boom. You have an island with places denoted, points of interest.
And it's very virile.
Yeah. So you can pop it in, play. If you want to do something with Arduin, my God, we've got the World Book of Arduin, 800 plus pages that details all the countries, the world of Arduin, and hones in on Arduin itself. And Corinth is talked about there too in detail. So these are
places.
Yeah, a lot of plug and play. We're going to, again, like we usually do, get as much as we can in our Kickstarter, at the best possible price. So we promise you quality. We promise something that you can really use in your campaign or a centerpiece. And both of you guys know, Eric, Glenn, when you want to start a campaign, what does it start with? 2 main ingredients: an idea, kind of a structure, and then what do you need? A map. You always need a map. Nothing starts without a map. Every board
right.
game, you need a map. You need
Yeah.
that starting
Foundation.
point, that piece.
That's
Yeah.
right.
This stuff looks really good. I mean, and you guys just do high quality stuff, as it's like second nature for you.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh yeah.
I'm going to throw this out there. You guys have the maps behind you, so nobody's paying to have this stuff. You know, it's already drawn. It's the files are already. You know, it's not like this is a dream and a wish, and we need money to make it happen. This is, we've got the product, we have it ready. We just need to get it in print and get it shipped to you.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. The product we have in hand, we're only waiting for a couple more things that'll be here shortly. So even before the Kickstarter begins, July 1st, which is a week from Monday, we're going to have 99% of what we need already here.
All
So
right.
there's no fear from anybody like, is this a reality? Is this not going to happen? Who we are?
Right.
It's already done. We believe, and I really want to say this, Eric, Glenn, and to everyone there, we really believe in our product. It's a labor of love. We sink our blood, sweat, tears into Arduin, into everything we do, and we believe in it. We believe in it so much, we sink our money in ourselves before we even get one penny to come back to us. And what does that benefit for the customer, for the fans? You're going to get your product. It's real. These maps, like you said, Eric, they're already here. We've got them. They're done. There's no, you got to wait a year from now, while we develop it. Because like anything else, a lot of Kickstarters come through. Don't get me wrong, but there's always that chance. You invest in Kickstarter, it's a risk, and there's no guarantee you get your money. And we've talked about how many horror stories where things 2, 3, 10 years, or they never come to fruition. People give their money and they don't. We don't believe in that, because as consumers ourselves, we've had to deal with that. We said we're not going to do that when we do our Kickstarter. And this is our first Kickstarter, and we want to set a bar of, this is how we're going to operate from now on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a high goal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
High,
Exactly.
high bar. Yeah.
I mean, some of the people who do the best Kickstarters are like Joe Block, the Great Hawk Grognard.
Mhm.
When he does the Kickstarter, it's already written. He's just generally, in his case, kickstarting the art. The more money he brings in, the more art he can commission. But he goes, he doesn't do a Kickstarter until the product itself is written, because the fear always is, if it isn't ready to go, at least at the basic sense, emergencies can happen, life happens.
Right.
You look at projects like Far West, which took 11, I think it was 11 years. Was it? Maybe it was 12. It kickstarted before my wedding in 2011, and it just fulfilled this spring. So I guess that's 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
12 years. Yeah.
At least they filled it.
Yeah, it's right to the background. Like, yes, we're gonna be married 13 years in November. It's 12.
Of course, my mind says, you were married in 2011.
Yeah.
That seems short.
It does, and it seems like yesterday, Glenn.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if I was married to you, it might seem like an eternity.
Talk to Becky about that.
No. Yeah, Rachel and I actually remember sending in the photo that became the infamous artwork, the right-handed Westernish man. Because you get artwork, I backed at a level where you could get an art piece. It was going to be by Rick Hershey, an amazing artist. But then Rick left the project because he saw where it was going. So it was done by Gareth Skarka himself. So I think it was just a lot of Photoshop. But this infamous piece of art, I got the picture taken like 2 days before our wedding, and sent it in. I realized like 2 days before the wedding, I'm like, oh my God, I got to send this in. And we're going to be married, and I'm not going to even think about it, which is, True. When you get married, you got other. Especially when you get newly married, you got other things in your mind than getting a picture to Gareth Skarka. But in any case, I digress.
No, absolutely. But it's true though, to the whole point, that's amazing. You had to wait 10 years after 12 years after you were married to get your Kickstarter. It's like, what?
And that was the whole thing too. That was the inside joke, is that I could count the time going, I got married a month before this was due. It was due that December. It funded in the summer, it was due that December. And then there was always a reason why it never showed up. And there are other Kickstarters that have hit bizarre levels. Power Chords is one of them. I wasn't the backer of it, thank God. And others, City State, The Invincible Overlord, something that OSR gamers would certainly know about. One that's not fulfilled and likely will never fulfill. But, that was back in the era of Kickstarters were a wish and a prayer. People had an idea. I'm going to do my Kickstarter on my potato salad recipe and make $1 million. And people were crazy about Kickstarter. And I think that now you have an audience, you have a customer base that's a little bit more wary, or at least a little bit more concerned about putting money into a project that doesn't necessarily have history. Like, I mean, if I was smart, I would have looked into Gareth's history and gone, wow, he has a Buckaroo Banzai pre-order that was already outstanding by like 5 years at that point.
Oh, yeah.
He had a license for a Buckaroo Banzai RPG, but he never produced it. Then the license expired, so he couldn't produce it. So I don't even know what happened to the monies from that one.
Buckaroo Banzai across the fifth dimension.
Yes. I mean, that would have been actually that's a great IP to be able to, at least from our generation, right?
No, it's a good IP, but there are some IPs out there I'm going, why?
Oh, God. Yeah, I know.
Like, I can create this in anything, any rule system,
Well, it's not necessarily the role system. It's an IP that people recognize, like Arduin.
Yeah.
Arduin, for our generation, is something that people can look at and go, holy shit, I know that. I remember that. Even if you didn't own it, you saw it. You saw ads for it. You saw people talking about it.
Well, it's things like Big Trouble in Little China, the role-playing game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it. I can think of 3 rule systems I could use to recreate that. 3. And one of them is Savage Worlds, of course, but hey, it works. So sometimes it's like, we got the IP. Yeah, what are you going to do with it? Make a game. Yeah, you're not going to sell it. Okay.
No. But,
anyway, back to Arduin.
Right, but then, again, Arduin is an IP that not just our generation, but people that came in after our generation, because Arduin was around for the better part of 2 decades, kind of in print in one form or another.
Yeah.
So I just remember seeing it in Dragon magazine as being advertised, or have people talking about it. I think one of my friends had one of the Arduin books. I'm not even sure which one. And they would bring it to the table and it'd be like, it had magic items in it. Because I remember they were trying to get me to add magic items to the campaign. And I'm like, dude, this isn't like, it isn't like, pick from a shopping list and it's going to appear in the next sentence. It doesn't happen that way. I don't care how much you like it. And you're not offering me the book. You're just telling me I can look at it at the table. Couldn't even take it home with me. So no, it wasn't going.
Yeah.
But it was fun because Arduin was gonzo. I guess a lot of the West Coast stuff was gonzo, right? I mean, that's what
and Eric, when you talk about Arduin, it's funny. And just as a note, we actually advertised in Dragon back in the day too. So there's some Emperor's Choice ads too.
Oh, okay.
But Arduin did advertise in Dragon too a long time ago.
Yeah, I
don't remember the years. Late 90s, mid 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like
I remember it looked really interesting. I was just like, but again, this is before we had the internet and where it was as simple as going on Amazon or some sort of website and making an order. It usually meant it usually meant writing a letter. To
Yeah.
place an order,
Yes.
folks.
Gee, remember when we used to do that? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, and then you actually had to do the math yourself ahead of time. It's like, okay, are they collecting tax from New York State? Because if you had to include a check. You know,
Yeah.
you had to send a check. That's what I did with the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. I had to send a check to get
And
my stuff.
and allow 4 to 6 weeks for
Weeks.
delivery.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. If you
Oh
got
my
questions,
God.
make sure they're in a yes or no format to answer.
Yes, and include a self-addressed stamped
This
envelope.
is the gamer equivalent of young kids waiting on Battle Creek, Michigan to get their free stuff from Kellogg's. You remember that?
Oh,
Yeah,
actually,
I'm
no.
old.
Well, I don't remember that, man. That must be older. I don't remember kids waiting in Battle Creek to get free stuff from Kellogg's. I just remember getting my cereal boxes.
Oh
and
well, with
all out.
you, it's probably the Dick Tracy decoder ring.
No, but I remember getting my cereal boxes and dumping everything out to get the submarine that ran on was it baking soda?
Oh,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, I remember.
I'll
You
remember
put it in
that.
and it went up and down and up and down, and it's like I remember that. That occupied me for a couple of days.
Yeah,
That was stupid.
very
But-
nice.
Like you were saying, Eric, about the Gonzo style with Arduin.
Yes.
You know, I think sometimes they use the Gonzo because the game itself, sometimes the connotation of Gonzo, like it's completely out of whack or Monty Hall. But I think when you really look at it, when you talk about West Coast gaming in that style, I think what it was Arduin was what I would say is the complete game in that it wasn't only fantasy. He added sci-fi. He added the post-apocalypse. He added historical. So what Arduin did early on, D&D kind of did that, but D&D said, we're going to have Gamma World. We're going to have Boot Hill. We're going to have, Metamorphosis Alpha. We're going to have different genres and have the game specific. Where Arduin said, you know what? And they did it immediately was, we're going to integrate everything right off the bat. We're not, it's a fantasy themed environment. He had a lot of elements in there, Erica Melabani, that series, Star Wars. He had a lot of Star Wars influence early on with Arduin. So he mixed things immediately.
Well, it's early pulp fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, Hyperborea is doing. I mean, it's like what comes around goes around. Hyperborea is doing the same thing right now.
Yeah.
So,
you know what's interesting, Glenn, is when I look at it, with Arduin, it amazes me. Like modern gaming, like a lot of the 5e and so forth, they do all like these different races, mixing and matching, have this and that, and I'm like, my God. When I really look at it, I go, that was kind of Arduin. A long time ago, 40 years ago, where he allowed you to play Franks, the Insect Warriors, the Dio Dance, which were kind of like the Drow, but much different.
Yeah.
And Orcs, or you could play Sarigs, which are Lizardmen. So he was doing that decades and decades before it is. But modern gaming has morphed into that. And what's interesting is they think that's something revolutionary. And it's like, no, that's been around, because my point is, it's been around in the Arduin style, West Coast style of gaming for a long time. You want to do Thundar the Barbarian, that you can run that in any type of thing. Run a different. You want to play a Mook? Was it in Thunder the Barbarian?
Oh my God!
Yeah, exactly. So to explain that, but I get it. But it was hard, even for us. Like I said, Dave and I, we're the same thing. We got introduced to D&D. And Arduin came when Dave picked up the first book.
If you remember, if you remember,
it was blow the mind. But then Dave was running our D&D game at the time.
Oh yeah,
And a couple people, once we started introducing Arduin, Dave let someone run a young fire giant in the game in D&D back first edition because of Arduin. We ran a centaur. We'd start running a lot of other races in the game.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of that, like I said, was there ingrained in Arduin. It was just
Right.
a different style. And again, there's nothing wrong, with playing the styles you want. Just Arduin had much more involved. So why did it seem gonzo? Because you could have somebody with a laser gun, you could have somebody with a machine gun, somebody with like power armor, or somebody from another tech different world there. So that's why it got that kind of that mystique of gonzo, because you could be anything.
Right.
Well, my guy, a lizard man, how's that possible?
I grew up on the West Coast, but I didn't get to the West Coast role playing until much later. I remember 25 so years ago, I was in a Champions campaign at Caltech, and a lot of these guys were still playing Warlock, if you remember that.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, Gary Gygax called it Dungeons and Beavers because that was their mascot. But yeah, I saw the Warlock rules, and it's like, wow, you guys like really went off the deep end, didn't you? You let anything in there.
Sounds familiar. I stopped picturing it.
Yeah, there was some rules, like you said, Glenn, the Warlock and some other rules.
Mm-hmm.
They were there in development very early on. Again, 75, 76, 77, right along with D&D on the West Coast when Dave Hargrave did Arduin in 77. I had some discussions with some of our internal people recently, and we believe some of that think group, there were groups that were talking about game design way back when, and we believe Hargrave was a big influence from there. Some of those they weren't systems yet. I think they were just zines. They were talked about. Then they became more official as people started publishing games in the late 70s to early 80s and so forth.
Right.
But it's amazing, some of the think tanks and some of the things. One of the things I realized was the mana system. Dave Hargrave was the first one to publish a mana system for Spell. I'm 99.9% positive. We've done a lot of our homework, and we'll leave Dave, in addition to Crit's Fumbles, he was the first published mana system in the game, in the role play industry at that point at 77. So a lot of different, again, I know I've talked about this before. There was a lot that came from Arduin that people don't realize. And that's why I get a chuckle, especially modern gaming, when they take about all the race choices and I could be whatever. And it's like, well, Arduin was that a long time ago. A lot of that was there. A lot of this, I see a lot of trending like World War.
And it has been since a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. It's
not like there was a skip beat or anything.
Yeah. I saw you guys talking about World War II in the chat. We ran a whole scenario for World War II with the new rules coming up because, of course, that's all integrated with Arduin. So we did a World War II scenario just to test out mechanics and see how it worked.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we wanted to test drive it a little to make sure, can we jump, a couple different, genres, and
That's
how
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a few groups of characters on a mission. So it was like, 5 groups?
Yeah, 5 groups of like 3 or so. Yeah, all simultaneous with different missions. So it was quite an extensive, large group with a lot going on.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was good to test out the system like that. So we've got a lot on deck with that, in addition to, of course, the maps and everything we have coming up.
And you have coming up, you want to elaborate on how you guys are doing on that, and what's the status?
We pre-launched a week ago.
Okay.
So our Kickstarter for the maps, we pre-launched a week ago on Friday the 14th, and it will go live on July 1st, which is a week from this Monday. So we're in pre-launch. So you can find it in Kickstarter under Arduin, Arduin Fantasy Maps and Art Collection.
You could do fantasy maps, fantasy
Yeah,
maps.
or Arduin.
I put the link in the chat, so
Yeah.
you can.
Great. Thank you. Yeah,
Yep.
that's it. And people probably will see on Facebook, we've been running ads constantly, which will run right
Oh,
through
yeah.
to the launch date. So July 1st is our launch date. We felt 2 weeks just to let people know that we're here. And we felt that was a good enough time. We didn't want it to be too long, like 30 days or 2 months. I think that's too much for a Kickstarter. So we wanted a nice, quick 2-week build up, and then we're going to get right into it. And then July 1st, we'll do the Kickstarter for the maps. And I think, Eric, we're set July 3rd for that Wednesday. I think
Hold on a sec. I have it somewhere.
Could
Here
you
we
show the picture on the Kickstarter real quick?
What do you need?
I'm sorry.
Can you just show the picture for the Kickstarter real quick? Or no?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
no problem.
Shout out to Bill because Bill's actually on right now. So Bill is watching. He did the picture.
Okay.
okay.
Oh, no. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Bill is William Watt. He has been with us for 24 years. He
Yeah.
was a former sculptor of Grenadier, and he's been working with us. The majority
Oh, look at
of
that.
our miniatures are from William Watt. And just to explain what you're seeing here, this is our Kickstarter, and that picture there is a piece of artwork from William Watt. He drew the whole picture here, and then one of our other artists, Alberto, colorized it. And what you see here is like a little scene, kind of like a table in a tavern with the mugs, the dagger, some gold coins in a pouch. And what you see there, that is actually our country map, the original country map of Arduin, which is in the Kickstarter, the one we did 20 years ago. That map will match the map that you have for Arduin, or if people get. So our artist was able to get in there and put in the actual map of Arduin on the table.
Cool. Okay.
Bill has just done so much for Arduin. It's just Thank you.
Looks beautiful. I got a question here. Okay, Kickstarter starts. I want to go in and I want to sign up at the highest level. What do you get?
What we're going to do for the Kickstarter is we believe in an all-in approach, Glenn.
Okay.
When you get in and you'll see it, and we detailed this out in our ads, you're going to get 5 maps. You're going to get the continent map, which is the one behind me and the one above Dave's right shoulder. With that large size, you're also going to get it in a smaller size. Yep, that's the continent map in 2 sizes. The 30 by 39 and a half, and then a smaller 30 by 24, I think, Dave.
So these are the large ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is our old one, which is a little under 2 feet by 3 feet.
Correct.
Okay.
So you're going to get the continent map, the large size Dave has
This
there.
one here isn't in there.
Yeah.
This one, that's a cloth version of that.
Oh, nice.
So the continent map, the large one there, a smaller version of that. Then you're going to get the original Arduin map below that, and you're going to get the Arduin map next to it, and you'll get the Corinth Island map also.
Okay.
So you'll get all 5 maps. Then you'll get 4 art prints that we have, 8.5 by 11 art prints, which are coming.
Holy
And
moly.
you'll get an Arduin map index, which is going to be a book that gives you all the locations on the Arduin map. And it gives you everything, the towns, the dungeons, the mountains, the rivers.
Is that book like the phone book of Arduin I have sitting over on my shelf?
No.
But I'd like to throw in something on that. That,
Go.
Monty and Dave Hargrave and a little bit of us. I mean, that was the world's first 800 plus page book in RPG.
Wow.
history.
Wow.
Yes. What Dave is saying, Glenn, 20 plus
The
years
industry
ago,
laughed at us when we did that. And
we
then
got
all of a sudden,
laughed at.
Everybody else was doing it.
Yeah. When we came out with that book, it was actually originally a hardcover, black with a gold foil stamp, 800 pages. They laughed at us and told us no one's going to buy an 800-page book.
And then
then all of a sudden, everybody.
And the world's largest dungeon came out.
Yeah. All of a sudden,
but
all these other things started coming out.
Free. And that one was like orcs on page 15, orcs on page 20, orcs on page 30.
Yeah.
Well, they laughed at Frog God for putting the blight out too. So
yeah,
the blight was huge.
Yeah,
there's a lot of different things where, we're not just being egotistical here.
No.
We also, for our miniatures, because we have a whole line of miniatures to back everything up, we came out with clamshells. We started using at the beginning, and again, it was something new to the industry. They laughed at us because we were trying to get into distribution, and then everybody went to clamshells. It's just interesting how is it.
And we walked away from distribution because it was just disgusting.
Yeah,
I remember Chernak from Grenadier. He was one of the owners, or the owner. I'm not sure, but he's like, "You're going to find that distribution is the evil empire."
Yeah,
and we just decided to walk away and just never look back.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing that they take the
price
that is offered to you probably barely covers the cost, especially after you put other expenses into it.
I mean, they do a little bit for you because you're in their catalog, but I mean, outside of that, it's sheer rape.
Yeah.
If you're not selling a huge amount, there's probably more money in it, and that's what sucks.
Yeah.
That's kind of the great thing about Kickstarter. It's the great thing about a lot of the print-on-demand services for smaller publishers. You can kind of scale with your business, but if you're going through a distributor, especially to get into retail markets, it's tough. And the hobby market is a tough market to own a store in. Everything that you buy, is a gamble if it doesn't have a track record with you.
Right.
And that makes it very hard for a new or unknown company, or just somebody who you guys have been around for a while, but your market is something that if you're bringing it into retail, people are going to be like, well, all right, but I need a discount. Yeah, it's like, and once you get to a certain discount, it's no longer profitable to even participate in that.
No,
it's hard on a smaller company, and it's especially back then. It was just brutal.
It was difficult to turn a profit. Extremely difficult because of the percentages. And again, you had to do volume, and as a small company, you don't do a lot of volume, so it hurt us all the time. And I wanted to say, I saw in the chat, Cal, with the clamshells, they had them back in the day. A lot of them were a cardboard back with a plastic on it. The clamshells we did were all plastic, and they just folded themselves. And it was something not really being done fully in the industry, and we started doing it full bore. But yes, they did have similar way back.
Yeah, I think we had to buy them in lots of 15,000 or something. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somewhere out of probably Battle Creek, Michigan. But it was up in Michigan.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, you're kind of committed to it. It's like, 15,000 is you're going to be using them for a while.
Eric, my wife sometimes gives me grief about doing gaming all the time, and I said I've learned more about business from gaming than I have anything else. How business works, and let me tell you, it's crazy out there. It really
is, and a lot. I mean, I've learned more about business, not just from doing the blog and doing this, but going to North Texas, because North Texas is where I have literally seen handshake deals get done at a free, an open table where just two people just sat down and they're talking business, and actually, and you're there eating like your lunch because it was a seat. And you're like, I just witnessed a deal between two mid-sized companies, and it's going to be damn cool. And I can't talk about it because I wasn't part of the conversation. But I've been witness to that a number of times at North Texas, and I haven't really seen that at other conventions. I think other conventions, North Texas is just large enough to facilitate that without being so large that it gets lost in the wash, and
Yeah.
It seems like that North Texas, and and unfortunately we haven't gone in the last couple of years, we haven't had a chance.
Right.
But it seems like it's more intimate because it's about 500 attendees, then plus other individuals. So, call it maybe 1,000 people over.
I think we cracked 600 this year.
I think I think Gary said 545.
Okay. Is it like 1,000 like overall visitors, like people who come through? No,
545 was the grand.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it even more so, Eric, more intimate, because you can get to people, you can talk to people, like you said, you can actually have the time to network, talk to other companies.
They don't get lost.
Yeah. We have merchants come back year after year after year. And it's like the most bang for your buck for a businessman out there. David Donahoe, Eton Games, he has his own game store in Texas over there. He comes there every year, and he just gets like customers and publicity, and it's just good for him.
I mean, James Raggi of Lamentations of the Flame Princess. James, he publishes stuff that could be considered at times on the Arduin spectrum and sometimes on its own spectrum. James goes, it's always high quality printing, high quality work. Mm-hmm. And James has said that next to Gen Con, he does the most business at North Texas.
Wow.
Because that's your audience.
And he's in Finland.
Right. Because that's your audience. You're like, he'll be at like Gen Con, and people come up and they'll like, what's this? Like, they won't even understand what his work is. And people come up to him at North Texas and they're like, yeah, I know, I got my shopping list. I want this, because
that's awesome. Yeah.
That's your customer base. It's even if it's younger players, they are old school gamers. They know the history, they know the lore, and they know what they want. And this year, just again, they pre-sold 509 badges, and I think there were like 55 no-shows. No-shows get carried over to the next year, and then there were about 100 walk-ups. But this year, Wednesday night is like the pre-con Get It On, and this is the night that if you're a local, you can drive to the hotel. You don't need a badge. It's open gaming. You can play in games. You can socialize. Well, 300 people came on Wednesday night to pick up badges. So it was like an extra day of convention gaming. But for the retailers, because I was talking to a lot of the people who set their tables up on Wednesday, they're like, I was setting up at 4:00. I had people on Wednesday coming up to me and buying stuff right away.
Wow.
There was a vendor this year did like wooden stuff and
on leather stuff. Yeah.
And they had like dice jails and all this other stuff, these boxes. And I bought their leather DM screen they had right there. I mean, right off the bat. And he just put a sign sold. But if you want us to, if you want to order one from us, and it was Wednesday. I think, no, it was, Wednesday when they saw, they made bank for the whole weekend on Wednesday and Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah. I have that screen coming for my birthday. I actually ordered it. I should say Rach ordered it for my birthday. It was like 150 or 160.
Yeah, 150.
Metal plates on the inside. So you can, it's magnet, and it's that it's the low screen as opposed to like the high panels. It's the low panel screen, which I prefer because I'm not looking to hide behind the screen. I'm just looking to hide my notes or hide my dice rolls. Not looking to hide me behind the screen. So that low screen is perfect. But
But I've seen vendors come there, the ones that never been there before. It's like, wow, I'm making money this time. And this one,
Yeah.
I got to come back. But have we encouraged you to get a booth?
Yeah, no, we will have to do that. It just obviously right now we are between this Kickstarter
I understand.
and the Arduin, but we're looking either next year or the year after. Once we have Arduin come out, then we have real, we have new product to bring in addition to all the Arduin originals. So we'll look at that. But
ignore me.
No, Glenn,
I push North Texas whenever I take a breath.
No, whenever we can, we will definitely get there. It's been on our list to do. It's just circumstances have kept us because we got to throw everything we have at Arduin right now.
Okay, yeah, please get there. And damn it, I want a game with you guys.
Yes, no, we will have to have that happen. All of us will have to game. And
definitely.
I wanted to say one other point, Glenn, with the maps and what you get. Like I said, we wanted to give everybody everything right off the bat. And I don't want to give away too much, but it's kind of an all or nothing thing where you're going to get everything. And we're giving you all upfront everything. We're not going to make you wait, so to speak. Like a normal Kickstarter, I know they have certain, I'm just going to say it, stretch goals and stuff like that. We're going to give you everything. So when you put your money down, you're getting the whole shebang. You're not waiting.
Yeah,
so
if it runs,
I'm going to leak that out a little.
And that's that.
Yeah. We're not going to do stretch goals.
You're
getting everything, boom, right off the bang. You're getting the whole show.
And here's the thing with stretch goals, I've seen them like literally break a Kickstarter where it funds and it can't fulfill because somebody was bad at math or is not a business person. And it sounds like a great thing to add, but doesn't necessarily add value. So unless your budget for your Kickstarter is already budgeting in that you're going to get all those stretch goals into it, it's a dangerous thing, especially if you're using a physical product. Physical product. If your initial budget is for your flat project, you have all these stretch goals. And all these stretch goals are hit. Now your budget just increased, but the money coming in hasn't necessarily covered that same point. So I've always recommended to people doing their first Kickstarter, if they're going to do stretch goals, especially if it's an adventure or something like that, I was like, listen, either you make your adventure a little bit bigger or you have a stretch goal that's in PDF. So you're not looking at an actual physical cost. PDF will cost you time. Maybe it'll cost you to get somebody to lay it out, whatever. But it's not like you have to order books or dice or pencils or miniatures. That's what did in the Judges Guild Kickstarter. It was books and miniatures, and you could do one or the other with stretch, and
we were going to stretch goal a couple of the items like that Arduin map over there, because the primary focus was the continent map.
Right.
And if we got to a certain tier, we would do the Arduin map. And then we just came to the realization, let's just do it all in one big group. And nobody wants to wait. They want that. So screw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Wait, why? If you're going to put your money down, you get everything. You don't have to worry. The only thing you have to worry about is, well, let's make sure we hit that funding. We hit the minimum funding level, which we got to do. So as long as we hit that, you're guaranteed to get everything. And just like we talked about right at the beginning of the show, there's no worries. We don't have to develop. We don't have to produce. Everything is ready to go. Everything is ready to go. You're going to get, I'm going to say it, barring some weirdness, X Factor, life, or something completely out of whack, you pledge to us your money for this Kickstarter. I'm going to say I'm guaranteeing you're going to get your reward. You're going to get your product. It's real, it's there, and you're going to get it. That's the promise from Emperor's Choice. We just have to hit our funding goal.
There you go.
I'm just going to say it. That's the promise. And like Dave said, no stretch goals. Whatever money you get, you're going to get all the maps, the map index. You're going to get the art prints. You're going to get the whole 9 yards.
And as it stands right now, there's only 2 tiers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're both identical outside of one thing. And that one thing is 2 of the maps are folded in one of them, and the other one they're rolled. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're a little bit more than what we thought we were, but it's okay. But Dave's right. 2 tiers, and the only difference, like Dave said, is 2 of the maps are folded in the one tier instead of being rolled.
Okay, I know. Okay. I don't remember if I asked you this last time.
Sure.
And I'm just regarding the books. Okay, not necessarily the maps, but maybe is there going to be a PDF option or with it or something?
We have it's all physical right now, Glenn. There's no PDF. Let me say this because we've been asked a couple of times and we're very consciously aware. We did do some diving into some projects about digital product and maps.
Okay.
We're going to get back on track on that a little while. We had a whole project going for a VTT for Arduin with maps and the books and the rules. Unfortunately, it got derailed because we lost our project manager. Yeah, which is very unfortunate because we would have been going full bore. We're going to try to reinvest and re-get that project back again, but we can't. The position we're in, we need to finish the rules. We need to get the maps out. We need to get the physical product. But our intention eventually is to have people with VTT seems to be a very big thing. And to have the stuff in a digital format for people is important. So that's something that's a second phase for us. And I'm just being completely
okay. Well, no. I just want to know. Now, Bad Mike's asking, what's the funding goal?
$7,000.
Oh,
$7,000.
That's pretty modest.
Originally, we were going to do like 3 with a few stretch goals, and then we're like, just screw it. We'll just cut that all out.
We just cut everything out and said, here's our bottom line. And to be honest, we've kept it low. That 7,000 could have easily been double that. And we said, nope, we're going to cut it down.
That's
just
very
reasonable. In there. That's very modest. And, if you can make it work for 7, you guys are golden. I mean,
we need, we're asking everybody, if you're interested, you think we have a quality product, it's something you can use, something, that you would, love to have, please, back us.
So you feel this first Kickstarter here is kind of a proof of concept for people who are not familiar with Arduin and things, and just, this is what we do. We're going to run this, or we're going to do it right. And it goes out. And then like the next one, which would probably be for the books, you'll have more of a, what am I trying to say, Eric?
Track record.
Knowledge base.
Knowledge, experience.
Trust, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's a way for us, Glenn, exactly. It's our first Kickstarter, so we gain the experience. We solidify the fan base in a sense to say, here, we're for real. For new people to discover who is this company, what is Arduin, I've heard of it. So we want to build that relationship with our customers, and it is a relationship.
Good idea.
Third, we want that credibility, and to prove to people, we want to give you a quality product for the best price, and I'm not trying to use cliches, but it's honest to God what we're trying to do. We are giving you the best we can, and why I want people to realize it's real. What I'm saying right now is real about Emperor's Choice with Dave and I, the rest of the team, is because, again, it's all ready to go. And what I mean by that is I want people to realize we haven't made a penny, and we have literally spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, thousands of hours, thousands of, ounces and gallons of blood, sweat, and tears, and have put this product out there, and it's ready to go. We're taking a chance because we've invested in our own product. What we've said is, hey, we believe this in so much, we're going to make it real right now before we even make a penny off it.
This is what
realize that.
This is what Kickstarter should be all about. You guys doing your best, to bringing it in low, and just, okay, let's make something and put it out there.
Yeah. And then hopefully we get the people, the fan base, other people. Like I said, we've been taking ads, been talking to a lot of different people. And even today I had some messages and people asking, some gamers, D&Ders, Arduin, I've heard of it, used it a little bit. I'm looking to get the books again, seeing what they're doing. And we talk to people. And again, we don't try to be pushy or nothing. We never, oh, please buy my stuff, Glenn, like you did last time. We don't do that. It's like, if you like it, come and buy it. But we promise you a quality product as best as we can do that we're going to give you for the best price. And we hope, use our system. That'd be awesome. That's what we want you to do. But if you're a D&Der and you play, all your different type of games, Eric, with your, what is it now? Blades and Sorcery.
Yep.
Glenn, I know you like to run your gangbusters and stuff. You know what? Both of you could take bits and parts of Arduin if you want to put it in your games easily. Even the gangbusters game, or Eric for your game. So we're here to try to give the customer what they want, even if it's a supplement, ideas, the maps. And again, I'm just talking here. Well, what about a map? What does that do? The map inspires you. I know the last time we honed in, we showed you guys some of the detail, hundreds and hundreds of names. How many times do you get stuck if you're doing your own homebrew game and it's like, God, I got to come up with names for this and that. Believe me, any of you out there, you see this when you see the Arduin Map Index, the book we're doing to go with the Arduin map. Even if you take it and put it in your game, you're going to have names galore for mountains, for rivers, for towns, dungeons, for different places. The Great Burn, which is in Arduin, just really cool, neat little places that you can use to your fulfillment. Exactly. So it's a source, it's a resource for gamers. That's what I view.
I see a good. I mentioned Hyperborea again, but I see a real good fit with Hyperborea. Now, Hyperborea is all men, but if you take Arduin and put it in there, you've got something like John Carter.
Yeah, and the thing is, Glenn, with Arduin, you can go low fantasy if you wish. There's nothing stopping you from. See, this is what I want to say too.
And the second Arduin campaign Hargrave ran was low tech.
He ran about, from what we understand, 3 major campaigns, and one of them was a low magic, a low key campaign.
Right. So he could compare the two, and say, hey, I'll go,
Yeah. And I want to say this about Arduin, about systems, when they talk, when they say, sometimes it's derogatory, Gonzo, Monty Hall, because there's a certain mentality. When you have a campaign or a system that can handle high fantasy superpower, guess what? You can always go lower. You can do a Hyperborea, Glenn, but guess what? Anytime you need to ratchet up, you can dial it to 10 or 12, no problem. The problem is you try to do that with other systems, and then the engine starts wobbling like hell, and then it breaks to pieces. And I'm just going to say it. Sorry. With Arduin, it doesn't.
Well, then the game ends.
It starts breaking, and goodbye. That's when the GM says, I've had enough, because I handed out that holy sword for the paladin and my campaign's done.
Oh, don't remind me.
I can't. And I'm just going to say this because I believe in this. In Arduin, you can hand out stuff and you can have fun, and you don't worry about breaking the system. Believe me, you won't break the system. And I just say that, Glenn, because again, the connotation is, the system's high power. You know what? The system can go you can always go down. The difficulty is systems can't go up because they break. They start breaking down.
But it's also a lot more than just mechanical systems. If you look at that continent map behind me, I mean, that's 72 or 76 countries. Those are the flags all the way around it. The map, Bill hand painted the map. And then Shadow's son, Jackie, he made all those flags that go all the way around it. And in the World Book, every one of those has a whole culture detailed out, several pages that Monty St. John had written up. And I mean, it's more than just mechanics. You have culture, you have, trade, you have everything. You have everything. Dozens of countries.
Great.
True. We have a whole world full of flavor, as much flavor as you'd want in a game. So that is a big point. You have races, you have uniqueness, unique religions that were Arduins. You have a lot of that. So it's again, the totality, of everything that we do have here. But I just wanted to mention that mechanic wise, Glenn, about that. And for you, Eric, about that, again, the system can handle it, which is nice. But if you want to play Arborea, Conan-style world, there's only humans, that's it. Magic is extremely rare. Do it. Oh, my God, you can do it 100%.
Yeah.
Keep it very low.
Good.
But, again, if you all of a sudden decide you're playing Arborea, Glenn, and you decide we're going to throw some Thundar the Barbarian in here.
Hey, I'll do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. But it allows you to have that versatility without, and I'm just saying, imagine some other system you're trying to use and you're like, can I throw a locomotive in there? I've thrown
a locomotive in there.
Yeah. Can I throw a track in there? Can I throw a quad 20 millimeter gun in there? Not sure. Can I use a bazooka? Not sure if the system's going to handle that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It starts breaking down.
I wouldn't hand them out a rail gun or anything, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. But
one of those huge German rail guns that they had or something.
You know what? The maps and the index. I'm probably going to enjoy the index the same way I enjoy that big Arduin book that you gave me. If I want an idea of where to go, I just throw it open and go.
Yeah. Here.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll give you a little bit on the Arduin map index. It's going to have two sections, and it's going to be by alpha. So if you have any name in the Arduin books, a location for Arduin,
right,
you can just by alpha look up the name, and it'll tell you the coordinate where it's located on the map.
Very nice.
And it will cross-reference multiple names. So you have a dungeon that has 2, 3, 4 names. In the old books, it will cross-reference each one of those names.
Oh, that's going to be such a help.
And the second half, Glenn, when you said I just want to pick a spot, if you go to the Arduin map, like I have here, or Dave has there, and just go, oh, what's this? Oh, that's H11. You can go into the second half of the Arduin map index, go to H11, and guess what, Glenn? It'll give you every single location. This river, this mountain, this town, this dungeon, the dot. So in this hex grid, everything that's there. And what's that's nice for, Glenn? I'm starting a campaign in the town of Lumley, the village of Lumley in Arduin, and this is what's around it, and this is what's surrounding that grid. I've got a booklet that tells me I don't have to go searching. The booklet tells me everything in H11 or I11 or J. You know what I mean? Everything, so to speak, around there you can find. Or again,
and there is one other little thing too. The two maps are different of the Arduin maps, but that book can use on both maps.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So if you don't want to buy the new map or whatever, and you just want the index book,
oh man, what the
reference to both versions.
Oh yeah. made for hex crawling.
I was about to say that. Yes,
Mm.
I mean, it's that, and that's awesome because, I mean, with the hex crawl, less is more. I just want the minimal amount of information to inspire me and get my juices going. I like hex scrolls, and I only want a few sentences per hex. When I get like a couple of paragraphs per hex, it's like, oh, this is too much information.
Yeah.
You know, especially if my group is just gonna go through the hex and not care. Now you just hit me with all the stuff that I needlessly know or don't know, depending on how much I care. But yeah, no, I do like the idea of very succinct information per hex. That's awesome.
Yeah, and
I love it.
Yeah, and like,
and there's a little bit of other countries around the borders on that new map too, so you can get a taste of a couple of towns or whatnot, you know, that are across the border.
Mm-hmm.
That works.
Sounds fine. What I love about like stuff like Hexcrawl Chronicles of Frog God, and you open that up and they give you like over 100 hexes in an area, but they'll only describe like 25 or 26 of them. Which some people say, oh, no, that's great. That means you got all these hexes you can fill between point A and point B. And that's really nice because anything to make your brain go, I am for.
Yeah.
And we even talked about this too with the maps, that if you really want to, like Dave said, the old Arduin map, the full parchment one, on his lower right, and then the new one in the upper left there. You could, if you wanted to as a game master, the big one, the new one is super detailed. It has all the dungeons. It has everything possible. The older one is a lot less, it's much more sparse, so it doesn't have everything. If you really wanted to be creative, you
mostly has less dungeons.
Yeah, it has a lot less dungeons than the new one. You could take the old original map and let the players use it as a player's map, and the GM uses the new map as his detailed, super detailed, like really the exact stuff is in there. So we've even thought of some creative uses of like, well, how would you use these maps? Just like the 2 continent maps. Okay, so I have 2 continent maps. The bigger one is something you can frame, you can mount or have, and then the smaller one is like a play one where you can draw, you know, you can use it up and you're not ruining both maps. You still got a beautiful map on the other one. And I want to say the reason we're calling our stuff the Arduin Fantasy Map and Art Collection is not only because of the 4 art prints you're getting, but that continent map and the Corinth map, the island one, those were hand painted by William Watt. And I want to stress he painted those over 12 years. And one thing I want to say with the map, and I want to show something just to give a little detail. When you're looking at water,
nice.
let me show you something.
Yeah.
You see the picture. I'm trying to, You see like this here?
Yeah.
All these little things, those are hand painted.
Wow.
Bill painted other pictures that are put onto there.
Yes. So to tell you that it's a piece of art, honest to God, it's a piece of art. He hand painted all those little pieces and we had to put them on the map. So you got a large painting with a lot of little ones that are on there. So it is a piece of art. So I want to stress the amount of work that went into it. And I also want to talk about these maps. They're from Dave Hargrave, the original Dave Hargrave maps. These aren't just pulled out of the air. These came directly from Dave Hargrave's originals that we have and we put together painstakingly. I don't know how Dave was a major force for organizing a lot of this maps.
Well,
literally days, weeks, months, and years. of
Yeah,
work.
between Bill and Quentin. Quentin did the other one. The other one is made in a CAD program, campaign cartographer.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Quentin really worked with me on that one. He probably wanted to kill me. So
and the
there's
original
a couple major changes that kind of conform to the last known continent map that Dave Hargrave drew.
Right.
So there had to be compromises to change a few things, but in the end, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, I just want the original one, the one in the corner there next to Dave on the bottom, the original Arduin map that we did many years ago. Lou Ione put that together, and I can't stress this poor guy who did this cartography had no idea, knew a little bit about gaming, and then we met him and we started having him do this project. We gave him copies of original Dave Hargrave's original maps, which we blew up into large size, like 4 or 5 foot, the map. Mm-hmm. He would be taken. I remember going visiting him every night. He would stay at his place. He'd work all day, then at night stay and do all this work. And he'd have this huge magnifying glass, and he'd be looking at the original map to extract names and then Dave and I would feed him and help him when we can. Again, I can't stress to you how much work and love and effort to keep as much as possible to the original. And
we only had photos of the original at that time.
Yeah.
So
only photos of the thing. And recently we've gotten our hands on the hand-painted version of Dave Hargrave's original
drawn. I wouldn't say it's painted.
Drawing, yeah, but painted that we've gotten recently. So we've collected more Dave Hargrave material in the last year. It's been painstaking, very painful. We got more material, more stuff that he did.
There's more countries too that we're working on.
Yeah,
we have at least one more country done. We have another island done, 2 more countries in the works, and then a couple more that are slated for more. They won't have 1,300 names, but they're close to having what the originals had. So
and we have more Dave Hargrave unpublished penned dungeons, more and more. Just wonderful. Yeah. I mean, wonderful stuff. Really full notebooks that he went. Again, it's the equivalent of finding more Gary Gygax material fully done by him.
Oh yeah. Well, I tell you, Eric. I don't know about you, but this is lighting a fire under my butt again. Every time they come on, it's like, yeah. Where is it?
Glenn, we got to go for it.
Where is it?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, you guys. Wow.
Hey, you run what I know at North Texas. You run what is that? Ganglands or what is it?
Gangbusters.
Gangbusters. Yeah. Arduin has gangs in the game too, which is fantasy one. Maybe you should throw one of the Arduin gangs into one of your games.
I would very much enjoy that. I could just write them up as the 1920s or even go the way they are. But I'm really looking forward to this stuff.
Oh yeah,
I am
looking forward to this stuff since they met you guys. I got to say, I mean, I had experienced Arduin. I bought original Arduin books on eBay and found that I couldn't read them without a magnifying glass at this age.
Even when you were younger, you probably couldn't.
I probably couldn't have. Yeah, I was just like, oh my God. But it's like you still bring them out and look at them and and in a way, Arduin is it's like a multi-volume DMG from the first edition, the Dungeon Master's Guide, where Gary's all over the place, throwing out stuff that you may or may never need or use, but it's there just in case. Who cares about aviation rules and basically dogfighting in D&D? Gary cared. Okay? Yeah. And the rules are there. If you're gonna have dragons dogfighting, the rules are there. You need underwater combat rules, the rules are there. You might never need it or use it.
It's basically you're digging for gold.
Right.
Basically.
Well, Arduin I find is like that too. I go back to
Yeah.
Arduin and I find something. I go, I didn't see this before. I read this book. But this, I missed this, or, and that's why I find myself every month or two breaking open one of my Arduin books and going, all right, I'm going to do a video on something. I'm just going to give me 30 minutes to look through this book. I'm going to find something that hits me, and it always does. It always does, because there's always something that Dave wrote that has a unique or different perspective on certain tropes that we're used to in gaming, and that's what makes Arduin special to me. It's a slightly off kilter view of what you would expect, and it's the kitchen sink at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But you can always find something that you can pull into, like you said, another old school game, and it's inspiration, and that's why I love it, and I love the fact that you guys put out the books in a font that I can read.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah. No, we're very conscious about that, Eric. It's funny you should say that. Every time we talk to our layout people, we're like, make sure it's big enough, and they tell us they can do it in a certain font that makes it look bigger so it's easier to read. So we're very conscious to make sure anybody, even us who have bad eyes, that we can all read it, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean,
and just to give you a little taste, this is something I wanted to talk about. When we talk about the flavor of Arduin, and Dave talked about, what makes Arduin, different. I look at stuff that Dave Hargrave, wrote up. Just, my God, the stuff he does for meals, for different things. If you don't mind, I'm just going to read two different entries from Arduin.
Go ahead.
This is from Arduin, Lost Grimoire. I'm just going to do this. He has a thing called the 8 Legs Liquor, made by the Mirkwood elves from the fine, fresh, squeezed Mirkwood spiders. This dark, inky blue liquid is, while not plentiful in Arduin, at least not overly rare. The spiders used are all non-venomous weavers that are bred for their spider silk making properties and for this drink. The smell of this thoroughly syrupy stuff is akin to that of maple sugar and almonds combined. It has a taste to match this pleasant aroma. More often than not, when it is available in quantity, and when it is not, it simply isn't around in any amounts. Figure the cost to be about 7 gold sovereigns per small bottle.
Wow.
Its most devoted drinkers seem to be hobbits, common to low elves, and the middle-ranking nobility of Arduin.
Wow.
That's when you talk about flavor.
yes.
How cool to have something like that. Or here's a meal at Dirty Dorgs, which is an infamous bar underground in Arduin, and it's called the Assassin's Supper, which costs 352,000 gold for a supper. And it has rare roast vampire's heart, a bowl of stingwing soup, steamed sea spider eyes, 12, a fillet of black dragon's tongue, 3 pounds, a glass of dingy blood wine tops off this savory meal. If black dragon's tongue is not available, the management reserves the right to substitute another colored dragon tongue in its place. So when you talk about like what David said earlier, Eric and Glenn, it's not only the rules, it's flavor. It's these cool bits that, okay, I can give you a high description of a liquor, of a meal, of things that add all that nuance to a game, give it that reality, give it that feel, that you're in a vibrant, real fantasy environment. So I just wanted to give a little taste.
That is a nice taste.
That's awesome. And I'm going to say as an aside for folks who've seen the recent, relatively recent, Ed Greenwood talking about elven breast milk. I like Dave's take on this a lot better than hearing Ed talk about the different flavors of different no.
You want a shovel? You could dig yourself a little deeper.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that just being strange and bizarre isn't what fantasy is about, right? You jump in the shark, isn't it? Dave didn't jump the shark. Dave stayed in the waters, but he went all over the place in these waters.
Yeah,
shark couldn't find him.
Some people feel they got to hit that shocking note, I guess, to bring people into their world.
I'm seeing that too much in games.
You know what? You have to, like you said, you should be able to do it without getting into the real shock zone. You should.
Right.
You can make things really interesting and cool without going way over the line.
As they did it in like when Fonzie jumped the shark, which gave us that that phrase that we use so often now.
Mm-hmm.
It was the why the hell is the Fonz jumping sharks in a motorboat when he rides a motorcycle?
Yeah,
I don't get this, because it was a cool idea to somebody who was writing for the series. Now, like, if you jumped a shark, Jaws was popular. This is going to be even better, And it's like, I like stuff that takes you in different directions. I like, again, with Dave, I can go and open up any of my Arduin books and find something that is inspirational to what I want to do with Blades and Sorcery, or what I want to do in my next game.
Absolutely.
Maybe something I want to tweak my PC and Joe the Lawyer's 2E game. I can get inspiration. It's like, oh, hey, that's an item I didn't think of, but that'd be great for I wonder if I can convince Joe to let me use that. And that's and that's what I enjoy. It's a resource.
Correct.
And it isn't stuck in the one system, which some stuff is. Dave was obviously inspired by original D&D, which is a great thing because it gives us a common language.
Correct. Yeah, Arduin was, my God, all these years. I mean, a lot of people, most of them, even ourselves, Dave and I, used it as a supplement to D&D. We took first edition and poured it in. Like I said, I can remember Dave. The book I just read from was AG4, The Lost Grimoire. That was the first book Dave bought. That he bought that introduced us to Arduin. And again, it was shortly after Dave's running a campaign, and one of the players said, "Can I play a fire giant, a young fire giant?" And Dave's like, "Sure." And he just looked at what Dave did with some other stuff.
Right.
And here we are with. Can you imagine that? Back in the early 80s, you have a party and you have a fire giant, a young fire giant as a player character in the game. And it wasn't a big deal. It didn't, for us, it wasn't a shock. It just went. Now, believe it or not, the fire giant didn't last because he had a hell of a time crawling through dungeons on his hands.
Yeah, and I'm sure with AD&D, he was taking damage as a large creature. So two-handed swords and even long swords doing D12.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was because we had a half ogre in my party at once because it was a Dragon magazine, so it was kind of semi-official.
Oh,
and it's like, oh, this is great. I'm going to have exceptional strength, and I get a great constitution bonus, and I get 2 hit dice at first level. It's like, yeah, that two-handed sword just hit you for 16 points plus strength, 18 points of damage. Like, I'm dead. What can I tell you, man? What can I tell you?
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, it inspires you. So it really does. It really does, and we want to bring that to more gamers. Because part of this whole thing for us too, and I know we've talked about this before. We have another project going where we've been in contact with a lot of Dave Hargrave's relatives, cousins, and family members, who's ever left, unfortunately.
Right.
And we're trying to do some documentary. We have Griff Morgan right now that we're working with to do interviews and to put together Dave's life and the people who knew him and about Arduin, because we feel strongly on the other side, Dave Hargrave Arduin is known as some mystical thing, but Dave is largely ignored as an element, as a personage at the beginning of this industry. In our view, Dave Hargrave is hardly mentioned other than in passing, and hardly gets the credit for what he really has affected with the industry. Like I said, I look at modern gaming, and you can easily port that back 40 years ago to Arduin. You know, all the new generation thinks this is so cool, and it's like, nope, that came from the well from the beginning 40 years ago. So we're also very strongly about getting Dave to be recognized and who he was and what he did for the industry.
Oh, yes.
He may not have been around, but his influence affected the beginning and has continued to affect the industry, you know, as a whole. And we feel strong about bringing his story and who Dave was to light too. Again, people forget Errol Otis, who people really know in the industry as one of the great artists. Do people realize his first artwork? He was the original cover to Arduin Grimoire in 1977. I
didn't know that.
He made his dues with Arduin and Dave Hargrave. That's where Errol Otis came from. You know, that's where he came from. That was his beginning, was working with Dave Hargrave, which he had other great artists too. Greg Espinozo, Roland Brown. He had Michio. He had a lot of great artists, you know, back then that started with Hargrave and went from there. Michio became the guy for Diablo who thanked Dave Hargrave. So again, just a lot of connections. So it's not only the gaming material to bring to people to enjoy Dave's world, but who Dave Hargrave was and what his impact was on the industry. I mean, I will say I believe Dave Hargrave had an impact. Gary, yes. Gary and Dave Arneson, they did D&D and so forth. Dave Hargrave, to me, was one of those pillars at the beginning at there. You know, them, the Tunnels and Trolls is another one that I saw. And again, I'd like to state, like, I know Chaosium RuneQuest was there. Greg Stafford came from Dave Hargrave's table. So I just, and that's, I'm being truthful. That's fact. That's history, you know. But Dave, and I'm just, again, being open and honest, has largely been forgotten. Because you guys know Eric and Glenn, when you talk to people, some people know what Arduin was. It's this thing, oh, yeah, the game, but Dave Hargrave, and they're like, oh, did he do Arduin? Who was that? And it kind of sickens me that that's how this guy is treated. You know, when he, like I said, don't talk to me about Gates. Arduin had it. Don't talk to me about all these races. Blah, blah, blah. Arduin had it. Don't talk to me about all these genre, history, World War II, sci-fi, horror. Yeah.
Hell Rides, Hell Spirals.
Yeah, Hell Spirals that Dave did. Mana System that he did. And again, guys, I don't mean to go on my soapbox, but the guy is never given any credit. I hear all these other names, all this historical stuff, and I'm like, where's Arduin? Where's Dave Hargrave? You know, he was there within a couple of years of everything. It's like, you know, and again, I tell people, go back and look at the books, Crits and Fumbles. You know what I'm saying? Again, I don't mean to go on my soapbox, but it's like, take a look at the books. Try to find something now today that wasn't there. You know, I'm like, go for it. Look at all his material. And we have a ton of his unpublished material. And we see where the guy was going, what he's doing. I'll tell you this. One of the mechanics, one of the things we're using in our system, Dave Hargrave had 40 years ago in his. But it's like unknown because it was just a little thing that people probably just passed right by. But yet we took it and we're using it in the new Arduin Bloody Arduin. So to us, Arduin Bloody Arduin is not only getting the system back out, but it's a homage to Dave for his magnus opus that he wanted to do. He did complete Arduin Shine Art, yes, finished off after Dave passed away. But even then, Dave's wheels were turning and he was looking to do the next thing. And when he did Arduin Adventure, which was like a D20 like system, use the D20 in a basic system, he wanted to go further with that down the road. So we believe it's a homage to Dave in addition to everything else we're doing. And we want to put Dave back on the map too and say, hey, look what he's doing. Hence, I know we went the long way around this, why we have Griff Morgan working on interviews, why we're talking to people. Neville Stockton, who was the owner of Archive Miniatures, he's the first one we're interviewing. Thank God he's still alive. He was like this with Dave Hargrave, and we're going to get his full story recorded as part of this. So that's a whole nother project we're doing as we speak.
Very cool.
Yeah. Just so you know, we're working and we're passionate about it, about what we're doing.
Well, Shadow from Shadow and Son says once he's done with his current campaign, he's retiring his AD&D book and only running Arduin.
That's awesome, Shadow. Thank you.
He also said something for the third, but yes.
Look at that.
RPG Grandma, what's annoying is reading a review of Dave's Grimoires and the whippersnapper saying, "This is all in modern games. What's the big deal?" type statement. The gaslight and credit to the man. Yeah, they don't realize. First, they're looking at the reprints. They don't realize that this stuff was from late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, 40 years ago before they did it.
Yeah. It's like, what's the big deal? It's all modern games do this. Yeah, well, somebody had to do it before the modern games, right? Somebody had to pave the way. Somebody had to find the trail. And in a lot of ways, it was that generation.
Yeah.
And Dave was, with Arduin, he was the one that was getting this stuff out there into hands. And admittedly, I guess initially mostly on the West Coast, but I do remember seeing Arduin. I got to the Complete Strategist for the first time in, I think, 83 or 84. And I remember seeing Arduin. They used to have the undersized, digest-sized games were always at foot level. So they always got dog-eared because everybody...
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Arduin and looking at it and going, I've heard of that. I think I saw that in Dragon Magazine. And then I walked on and I got a Gamma World because it was from TSR. And back then, when you're 16, you got money that's limited. You're buying official TSR stuff. But in retrospect, if I could have gone back, picked up the original Arduin material, picked up some of the original Judges Guild material, which was there, I didn't.
We would never. We didn't know Eric back then. I know exactly what you don't think like that. That stuff would become gold, 30, 40 years later.
I got my stack of Judges Guild when when third edition 3.5 was around. And boy, did that take my players, knocked them for a loop, because I bought them all figuring, well, everything old is new again. They'll not know, and they didn't. And it's like,
and that's the whole thing.
What did you? It's just like, that's my secret.
Arduin's going to hit. Arduin's going to hit the grognards, and it's going to hit the new players at the same time.
And the new players are going to be knocked for a loop.
Yes.
Yeah. Correct. Because it's going to have a lot of elements that they see in the modern gaming, but it's like this was an Arduin before. And like you've both said about, Gary, Dave, all the ones at the beginning, they have to understand it's the shoulder of those giants that we're standing on.
That's right.
Gary, Dave Hargrave, all the ones, that were there, Greg Stafford, even, all, and there's others, the tunnel troll guy, I forget his name, who did
Ken St. Andre.
Yeah. Those were people that they were the primal beginning. They were really the beginning core for the industry.
Well, I know with Ken St. Andre, the story with him is he played a session of original D&D, and he liked it, couldn't afford it, and couldn't afford the dice because they were special dice, polyhedral dice. So he basically rewrote Dungeons and Dragons from memory and made it 2d6. And my only call to fame for Tunnels and Trolls, besides having a near complete collection of first and or second prints because it's something that you can collect and have a limited amount of things to pick up, unlike D&D, is I have Ken's play copy of the second edition of Tunnel Controls, signed by Ken.
Wow.
So that's special.
That's but he, like I said, and these guys did, they're like I said, they're the pioneers. Nothing ever like this ever happened before. So they're like making it, which is a good thing because then they can do anything.
Yeah.
So
exactly. They had the whole open field to be able to do what they want because they were the ones breaking the ground. And there was a lot there at the beginning, the lot. Heck, I even noticed the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide from 80. I believe it was 79 or 80.
79.
There was a lot of elements I saw, like kind of pseudo Arduin where they put in there. Like they had different things in there that I noticed, like some spells were like they did have some mana thing a little bit. If you read certain sections, that book's just packed. You find certain overlaps where they were hitting certain things.
I wouldn't be surprised because the Dungeon Master's Guide for first edition was the kitchen sink. Mm-hmm. And Gary was throwing in stuff that I'm going to guess and suggest was not play tested.
Yeah.
But it sounded good. And modern game design, we would say, well, if we have combat that's melee combat, it's based on a D20, and saving throws are based on a D20, we're not going to do unarmed combat in percentile rolls with charts of different. You wouldn't do that. But back then, it was like he probably encountered something similar in some other game, and said, "I'll just port this over." And the reason why we never used we wouldn't allow people to fight unarmed in light.
I know that's stupid.
No, you can't. No, you gotta use.
How are you supposed to have a tavern fight?
You can't, man. You can't. We're not using these rules. We're not using the overbearing rules. We're not using the pummeling. It ain't happening.
All that stuff, believe me, going through the design of the new Arduin, Bloody Arduin, and I told you we had to leave certain things behind. We talked about it last time. The whole, oh my God, non-lethal combat. Dave Hargrave kind of did the same thing where each person gets so many defenses and punches. And it's like, that's awesome if you want to do an extremely tactical one-on-one combat, but it doesn't mix with the rest of the game. It's way out of whack. You'd spend a whole game session doing a combat between only two people, mind you, not a group, just a one-on-one. It was too much. It actually reminded me like a Top Secret from TSR and their whole hand-to-hand.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
And we're not even touching on the psionic rules for 20. We're not going to touch on that one.
I got the impression that they didn't want you to use hand-to-hand, not because you'd be overshadowing the weapons then, which is kind of stupid.
No, I think that because they had rules for subduing. I think they wanted to, but I just think that I have no insight, but I believe a lot of stuff that was put into the Dungeon Master's Guide was put in because two reasons. Gary said we need more pages, and somebody could find this useful. So again, aerial combat.
I try to upscale the hand-to-hand anyway. And these days, I run everything like an encounter. Even if you're playing like Gangbusters when you had a car chase, I was running that like an encounter. The only thing I added was the driver had to make a roll every turn to make sure you didn't run into anything or anything. But everything else was like, okay, you've got one action in the car. You got to do this, that. It's the same thing, And I don't see why hand-to-hand can't just follow those rules. And the damage is negligible compared to like swords, but
we will have to have you guys play Arduin Bloody Arduin because we went through non-lethal combat.
Okay.
We kind of did our own thing with that, and I know exactly what you're saying, Glenn. I know exactly what you're saying. So without giving away anything, yes, we considered things, and we feel right now we've gotten to a good point with non-lethal combat.
Cool.
And you know what? I'll just say this: subdual. Give me a break. You're not going to subdue
a dragon.
I had two.
You're not subduing a dragon in Arduin. Get the hell out of here.
Come on!
Get the hell out. There's other ways within the game that you can use certain things to capture things, but you're not going to pound somebody on the head and subdue them or a dragon. Get out of here.
Seduction.
Yeah, seduction.
Yes.
I just absolutely detested the hand-to-hand in first edition, because too many times I've seen some other player ask me as a GM or some other player want to, okay, I'm gonna punch him. I'm gonna, boom, a left hook, and it's roll on a chart. Okay, you kick him. No, I wanted to punch him. Come on, why do I have to roll on a chart? Stupid. Yeah.
And again, what people forget about is even in a normal fight, and you got to realize, and again, it talks to kind of our design too. A combat is fluid. There's many things happening.
Right.
It's not so tactical. When you get to roll the dice for your attack, it's your opportunity in that moment that you can do something. It may be a combination of moves or blows. It's a fluid combat, so it's not so tactical. Oh, I'm going to go punch. And what people don't realize, now Dave Hargrave had this with his martial artists back in the day. There was a % chance that you would hurt yourself by attacking people in armor, which is realistic.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but that's too much. Again, you get to this level where it's insane. You don't want to do that.
Right.
But that's what I mean with non-lethal combat. You have to make it viable in certain circumstances, but it can't overshadow. I'm sorry. If you're barehanded and you go up against a knight in plate mail with a broadsword, he's going to chop you up. Sorry. He's going to chop you up.
Yep, he will.
I mean, that's just life. So some things you got to really kind of generalize a little more. And like you said, Glenn and Eric, you can't make these detailed, ridiculous subsystems that take up a ton of time, and it's like playing a game within the game.
This reminds me of Palladium. I always called the Palladium the Microsoft Windows of role-playing games, because it seems like they'll take a whole bunch of subsystems, and especially in something like Heroes Unlimited, the supers, they take all these subsystems and cram them together and call it a game. And when I read those books, it's like, okay, if I'm a thief, I have to do this. If I'm a fighter, I have to, what the? And everybody said, it all links together. No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Not
I always
mine.
had trouble with the Palladium stuff.
Yeah.
Good settings. Rifts was an interesting setting.
Yeah.
But as for the gameplay,
well,
great setting.
I got rid of all my Palladium stuff except Ninja Turtles, because it's Ninja Turtles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there comes a time with systems, and we all go through that phase. Like I said, we played Arduin with Rollmaster. We used Rollmaster with Arduin. So you talk about fronts on,
That hurts thinking about.
What happens after a while? You become that simulationist, and you want all this and that, and it's fun, so to speak, for a while, and then it's like, wait a minute, this is starting to become a job. It's starting to become too much. Then you're like, I want to cut it out. Then you find you go back to a simpler system where you're enjoying the game. Now, the other end can be bad too. If you go too simple, you're going to lose interest because there's not enough meat on the bones. It's too plain, there's not enough.
Too arbitrary.
Yeah, it's too, you're rolling the die 6, 1, 2, no, 4, 5, 6, yes. Well,
I've always said I love simple systems because I love rulings, not rules. But I've always said you got to have a good bones. You got to have a skeleton on the system in order to do that. And I look at these games, like Theatrics, or anybody remember that, or Fudge, or something like that. Where they say, okay, there's a consensus to do this, and you talk to the GM to do that, and it's like, where's the stats? What's the procedure? Is there any procedure, or is this just like theater? In game terms.
You hit it on the head, Glenn. The problem is it becomes theater. People, and if you have a group who are let's say, actors, and they can do this and that, that'll work great with a specific group.
Right.
But most groups, they need stats. You need dice. You need parameters. They need those parameters to get their head around things.
Yeah. I mean, I have people, I'm act, and I had people say, "Oh, you really must like the acting. Do you ever roll dice?" I said, "Yes, I roll dice. I want to mix. I want to mix the both.
Yeah.
You go one or the other, it just gets to be tiresome."
Yeah. No, I like a healthy dose of dice, in my game. I like both, but I do like dice a lot. That's a lot of fun. But again, you want to have a mix where you're thinking and doing the dice. So you have a nice balance of things to enjoy, or the role play. So it's a little bit of everything. And that's, again, I know we've talked about Arduin. We're trying to do that middle road where you have a little bit of
everything. You guys got a good head on that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're going to continue down that road. Nothing we've found has changed our mind, Glenn, to veer from what we're doing. It's like we still believe on this road, and we're going to continue, on this road.
Well, Dave would have wanted it that way.
Well, exactly. Dave, 100% would have wanted it that way. We need to keep going and get out there at some point. It's amazing to me how many systems are coming out, though. That just floors me. Everybody with this revolutionary system, this, and that. It's like, what the heck? What the heck? I've never seen so many things coming out like it is. I don't know.
I'm just, it's mind-boggling, really.
It is and then some of the stuff kind of, to be honest, it just, I don't know how to say this, but it irritates me. Somebody saying, "Oh, we use this," and again, talking, especially when it's annoying to hear certain elements, and it's like, come on, that's not revolutionary. That was there.
Yeah. And a lot of times that's their only, they think that's their only advantage over any other.
Yeah. You know what? Make a product, a quality product that people enjoy. That's not going to be, too much or too little. And that's the way we feel. Make it fun. I want a game that has fun, that you can enjoy. You can have a barroom brawl. You can have a nice meal or some 8 legs liquor in the game. You can role play it out. Or you can find like Mountain Cracker, which is a magic mall in Arduin that can pulverize pounds and pounds of rock and does this other. Most Arduin artifacts, our magic items are like artifacts. They're really cool and detailed. But it allows you to have fun. Or like I said earlier, Eric and Glenn, you can have the paladin have his holy sword at 3rd level. It's okay. Have him enjoy it. King Arthur had Excalibur when he was young, so to speak, and was able to use the sword. Look at Elric of Melibon. My God. He had his weapon there for the whole series, pretty much.
Exactly.
He had Stormbringer after what? The 2nd book, I think. Yeah. By the 2nd book, he had Stormbringer. So to us, have fun. And have fun the way you want it. You want to have the high fantasy, you want to have the Hyborio, the Conan style, go for it.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
Yeah, you can do it. So I'm happy in the direction of that. I know I kind of slid into this, but
it's fine. But if this was a normal episode with Glenn and I, we'd be just riffing off our commenters. It's good to have guests, but wow, I don't know if you gentlemen believe it. We've been on for an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow!
Time time flies. Usually Glenn and I.
Well, they can't beat Bad Mike, but yeah, that's
No.
time.
No,
Bad Mike, he comes on here, it's like 3 hours.
Oh, I just I just put my head down and take a nap.
And 1 hour is it him and me talking movies. So
yeah, so you escaped that, gentlemen, and you saved me from that fate. So thank you.
Glad to do the assist on that. Not a problem.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
For everybody that's watching this episode, July 3rd, Wednesday night. So yes, the day before Independence Day here in the States. Bad Mike and I are going to have these gentlemen back. The Kickstarter will be live. We will be looking at the Kickstarter. Bad Mike is sometimes Glenn and I are more conversational. Mike is conversational, but he also apparently knows how to interview. Glenn and I don't interview. No, we hang out at the bar.
I think I did a damn good job this
time. Glenn, you did, but I'm just saying we are very relaxed. It's chill.
I mean, I didn't go over and say, "What's your favorite color?" or something like that. No,
you asking the speed of a bird. Yeah. Not Python questions, but this was really good, gentlemen. And
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you for having us.
And you launched the first, you said?
Yeah, July 1st, and the pre-launch is happening right now, so people can if you click on the link, it reminds you for July 1st. But again, it's a week from Monday, so it's going to be here very shortly. Actually, it's coming real soon. And we appreciate everybody.
The link to go to the pre-launch is in the chat. We will, if you're back here on Wednesday, July 3rd, we'll have a link that will take you to the live Kickstarter. Even more exciting. But if you haven't seen the work that comes out of Emperor's Choice, I have the previous map. It is amazing quality.
Yeah, it's a beautiful map.
And I unroll it on occasions. I have limited wall space, and Rachel won't let me hang it up unless I get it framed, which isn't not saying I can't get it hung up. I have to get it framed in glass, and I haven't done that yet.
Or make a shower curtain out of it.
Yeah.
I have the Bard's Gate shower curtain from Frog God, and I'm not allowed to hang that up. I tried, Glenn. I tried.
You need your own room to hang stuff up in.
I know.
I should talk. Nothing's here.
I tried hanging it in the bathroom, the shower curtain. I was told, no, you're out of your blinking mind. So, yes. Folks, tomorrow night on the Gamers Health live stream, this is as per request. We are going to talk about how to deal with the current negativity in gaming communities. There's a whole thing going on. It could be linked to politics. It could just be linked to people being assholes. But we're gonna talk to. We're gonna address it.
How those combine.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that a bit tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on Gamers Health. And other than that, thank you to
thank you for today.
Thank you, George. Dave and George. Want to make sure all the names are up on the screen as we get ready to sign out.
Emperor's Choice.
Yes,
I mean, they got a Kickstarter starting, but they do have a website with a lot of cool stuff for sale.
And as Dave mentioned in the chat, and I will mention this again for him, a lot of the current Arduin books are going to be discounted on the Kickstarter. So if you have been waiting to pick up the Arduin books, it's an easy opportunity, and these gentlemen do a great job. So
mcho.com.
Yes. So, folks, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll this dice. Roll them well. I'll be back.
Listen to Radio Grognard.
Radio Grognard. Go to MCHO. And I'll see you all tomorrow on Gamers Health.
Thank
you,
you,
folks.
Have a great night, everyone.